Welcome to my interview series where I share conversations originally recorded live on LinkedIn. In each episode, I sit down with thoughtful people to explore their work, their ideas, and the stories behind them. Whether you're here to learn, reflect, or discover a new perspective, I'm so glad you're listening. Let's get into the conversation. Good afternoon, LinkedIn. Welcome to Kaffy Connects Live in Conversation. I'm Kaffy, I'm a singer and I'm a speaker, and I'm now someone who helps leaders, professionals and business owners communicate clearly and confidently. So this series is all about spoken communication. I'm talking to people from lots of different areas who all deal with spoken comms. And today we're looking at something that feels really relevant right now, and that is live videos. So Chris is a business mentor, a content strategist, a best-selling author, a keynote speaker, widely known of course for his LinkedIn content. He does a lot more than LinkedIn, but it's LinkedIn I think people probably know you best for, and LinkedIn strategy, and for helping people think more clearly about how to create content that actually works. So thank you, my friend, for coming on to Live in Conversation with Kaffy. How are you?
Thanks for the invite. I'm good. Obviously, it's very hot, 31, 32
warm.
degrees. It's gone up a degree since we spoke about it 90 seconds ago. But yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
It is warm. Okay, so we're going to talk about live video today. I've started talking about this myself a bit recently because I think we're at a bit of a crossroads really with the whole AI thing. And I think 2026 we're definitely there now in terms of no one can trust what they see anymore. Everything is so, we've got voice cloning, we've got avatars, we've got, I could take this video and have myself speaking sort of French or Japanese tomorrow, but looking like I'm actually speaking. It's amazing what the AI can do, but it means people are sort of crying out for realness and rawness and seeing people think in real time rather than give people an edited version of themselves. So I mean, what's your perspective on that? Do you think that live video is about to take off this year?
Well, you touched on the trust thing, right? Everyone keeps saying there's a trust recession, and I think it's not just because of AI. I do think people trust shit less because I made an example the other day in an email, I think, where I was like, if I wanted to, I could within about 10 minutes go into ChatGPT or Claude, ask it to create a carousel for me detailing complex brain surgery or brain removal, create that carousel and post it on LinkedIn under a profile that says I'm a brain surgeon, and no one would know any different unless they attach my face, because then it'd be pretty obvious. But aside from that, so there's the AI trust, but I think in most industries as well, particularly the one I work in, there's also trust is at an all-time low because of quality of product as well. So I think there's two things that we're combating, and I think the solution to them lies in what you just said, which is the ability to be able to showcase yourself thinking and problem solving live. And I think it's a massive opportunity. But if we rewind even further, it's not something that's new. Podcasts have been interesting, unedited, 3-hour-long conversations have been interesting and held attention for years before AI came along. So there's a few reasons which obviously we're going to unpack, that this just gives us that ability to prove we are actually experts and we are worth listening to and to think on the spot.
And why live video? Because you in NCC recently have been talking a lot about live video, and we're all on a live video challenge. Why live video? Because obviously podcasts have been around for a while, audio has been around for a while, been very, very popular for a while. Why do you think video is such a key thing for us to do?
Video can feed every other format. Writing doesn't feed video as easily. So if you think you've got a few different ways to convey any kind of message, you've got video, audio, written, or pictures, or design, basically. And video is where you get people, if you are, my audience specifically, I help on the personal branding front, so they almost are the product. If you want to showcase the product in the best possible way, let's have it talking, let's have it breathing, let's have it problem solving, let's have it moving, let's have it dressed how it dresses, let's have it in its natural environment. And I don't think any other content type ticks all those boxes.
Yeah, and then there's the reuse power, as you say. So yeah, so you're talking to us about putting videos straight out into podcast, and then I mean, this is where the AI comes in, really, isn't it? Because of transcription, we can then turn these conversations that we have. I mean, I really like conversations because I find that we pull out of our head, if you're writing or even audio is one kind of thing. When you're conversing with somebody else, or if you're on your own live, you tend to pull things out of your mind that you weren't aware you were going to say, because it's a conversation. So it's whether it's a conversation like me with you or a conversation between you and the audience, you tend to pull all of these different streams in because you are automatically trying to make that message understood by an audience. I mean, this is what the best copywriters do, isn't it? That they automatically are able to do that when they're writing. I think most of us mere mortals, we often write for ourselves, less for the audience. Whereas when you're actually sort of speaking and you're conscious that your communication is to be understood by another person or other people out there, you naturally, I think, frame it. And, you might use metaphors or examples or case studies, whatever. You naturally sort of pull things out of your head to make it understood by the other person.
Yeah.
So I quite like that as a way of getting information out there. And we both coach live, and I know that you've said before that your thinking process comes a lot off, very, very stylish. You get a lot of your thinking process, don't you, from your coaching calls? You have this reverse engineering thing. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, I think the best demonstration of problem solving is either live or just after you've solved the problem. And if you're trying to market yourself, again, I'm obviously speaking from my clients and a personal brand perspective here. If you're trying to market yourself, the problems that you solve for your clients and the questions that your clients have are the exact same problems and questions that your target market have. And therefore, you take what you've just done with client or group of and put it out, maybe in a more digestible, shorter, snackier format, into the market. And then, providing you're good at what you do and you're actually solving problems and answering questions for clients, other people are going to be interested.
So it's such a great method, and it is. I'm convinced that it's a really great method because I keep doing them.
Yeah, you're nailing them.
If it's such a good method of getting out there, why do you think? Because it's not really a thing yet, is it? It's not. I don't think everybody is doing them yet. Certainly on LinkedIn, it seems to be. It doesn't. Do you know what I mean? It's not really it's not a trend that everyone is jumping onto. So I think there must be reasons that hold people back. What do you think are the chief reasons that people don't like to do live video?
The obvious one. Well, there are a few obvious ones. The obvious one is that they're literally not good enough, either at video or at chosen subject matter. The other reason is they think there's too much friction, which that is an argument we will have if need be about the live video being the removal of friction, in my opinion. Then there's like the tech setup, potentially. People might not know exactly what buttons to click. I know I certainly did. I got my friend Zoe to help me out, and then I went live with my stepson, who was up in his room. I think he was 12 at the time, and we just talked about TikTok for 10 minutes just while I could figure things out. I think the biggest one, which might not be the obvious one, is that it has to be right and it has to be perfect. And when you put that mindset on anything, it delays the execution. And what most business owners right now don't have is time to piss around with stuff and halt any execution. We need maximum output for minimum input. Problem is, it's a lot easier to just write a post, because then you've not got to do your hair. You've not got to make sure, there's a load of shit cleaned out of the background. You've not got to go and do your makeup if you wear makeup or whatever it is. You've not got to do a script. You can sit there in your own time and take 2 hours to put a written post out into the world. Whereas you just ask me a question, I've got to react to it, or I could pretend to be frozen. And that'll be that.
That's very good. Yeah, I mean, I think the connection, I mean, as you know, I talk about connection over perfection always in my work. And the reason I talk about it so much in my work is it's something that I've struggled with my whole life, is the needing to be put. And as a singer a long time ago, it was the needing to produce this song perfectly at this time, which sort of shackled me to the point that my nerves stopped me singing in the end. And I think this is one of my mantras that I go about with is connection over perfection. We have to connect first. If we head into everything with a connection first mentality, or sort of a service first mentality, sometimes I talk with my clients about the scales. So we've got mission, purpose, things that we want to achieve in our lives, things that we want to, how we want to serve other people. And then we've got potential, with me, it's always my fringe, potential that fringe might look rubbish, or, it might be too flush because it's really hot, or, things that I might not like about the video. But, I have to use those scales. I have to use them for myself. And I advise other people to use them because it is just so much bigger. What you want to put out there in the world is just so much bigger and more important than, your worries about, how you look, or maybe you trip over your words, or maybe you say, get somebody's name wrong, or, whatever it is. So I think that's absolutely vital. And it's interesting that I think people have exactly the same fears of this as in my world of sort of public speaking and networking and all that kind of thing. We have three main things around public speaking. One is the uncertainty of it because we don't know how it's going to go. One is being outnumbered because we hate being outnumbered. We hate lots of eyes looking at us. I know lots of eyes aren't looking at us actually now, but we know that LinkedIn, people could be watching now, people could watch on replay. So it's the same outnumbered thing. And the third one is social judgment. So we are deeply wired to fear how we come across, to fear screwing up, to fear saying the wrong thing, to fear that we can't answer a question. I wonder if that's why some people prefer going live on their own, which bizarrely I don't like as much because I find it easier to talk to somebody else. But
yeah, I think that's a bit of a cheat code.
Well, yeah, but if you're afraid that someone's going to ask you a question, and this is why people don't go on podcasts, because they're like, oh, I want all the questions in advance. They wouldn't give me all the questions in advance, so I wouldn't do the podcast. It's like, well, back yourself. If this is your work, you don't need to know the questions. You might need to take a pause and think about it. But I'm firing questions. You had no idea, other than the title, what we were going to talk about. But I know I can fire questions at you, and you can answer them, because this is your work. This is what
and I think the backing yourself thing is twofold, right? It's one, showing up, but also just having the strength to go, you know what? I don't actually know the answer to that.
Yeah.
Just that in itself demonstrates a quality of confidence, I would say.
Yeah, of steadiness. Yeah, because it's not an attack on your identity to be able to say, actually, I don't know that.
But I genuinely believe the less prep, the better for these kind of things. And that is not something I used to feel. I scripted my whole live the first time I ever did a live. It was over on Instagram. Was it rubbish though? Yeah, it was crap. It was awful. And now I can rock up and do it. One, it's a reps thing, but like you say, it's the backing yourself thing. People give so much power to content, forgetting that there is that much content published every single day that whatever you make is complete throwaway 24 hours later, for the most part. So people put these posts, even if it's just a written post, never mind a live, which I appreciate might be daunting for some, but they put these written posts on a pedestal and go and overanalyze. Whereas my whole approach for it is just you get as many out there as possible until you get some data. Then you find out what bangs and what flops. You disregard the flops, do more of what bangs, and just keep refining. And you can't go wrong, but you can go wrong if you take 3 hours to do one when other people can do 10 in 3 hours.
It's difficult though, isn't it? Because we've talked about this before, that I'm in my mid-40s. I didn't grow up with social media. I found social media very difficult. The whole concept of you put a photo of yourself online and it can be seen by literally anybody in the world, that is something that took me a long time to come to terms with. Agreed, as you say, most people scroll past and don't look at it, but it's the concept. It's trying to understand in my small brain that you're putting a picture of yourself or a video of yourself out to all of these people. It's the outnumbered thing. But as you say, what happens is the more you do it, and obviously I've been doing this for a while now, so the more you do it, the easier it gets, because your brain just gets accustomed to it. Our brains just freak out anything new. So, I came to social media later in life. It was really hard for me because it was a new thing for me. But, you take small steps, and you maybe put out still pictures, and then you maybe put out a short recorded video, and then, eventually you get to this, like me doing a series of, recorded live conversations with people. And I think people sometimes they react badly initially, and they don't give themselves time. They don't give their brains and their bodies time to just learn to be, in another space. Like we get used to things. Our brains are hugely plastic, so we can get used to this stuff. But yeah, sometimes we just have to be a little bit kind to ourselves for a little while and put the reps in. And as you say, the more you like throw it out there and don't care, you actually sort of stop caring in the end, I think.
Yeah. There's a quote I heard a while ago. I can't remember who it was, but it was just like, it might have been about video, it might not, but let's say it was. It was like, it'll take you 20 years to do your first video. You can do your next one in 2 days.
Yeah.
After the first one.
Yeah.
Or the next day.
Yeah, because the brain is literally like it's a prediction engine. It's a survival machine. So once you've done something and survived it, then you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I can do this. Which is what I'm like with these. So my first few lives, I was like, Christ alive. And now I'm like, yeah, I'm live. I'm live on LinkedIn with Chris James. It's fine. I'm enjoying myself.
People worry about shit that's not even important.
People worry about too much. But what are the advantages? What are the opportunities? Because getting live, getting visible, I mean, it's definitely made a massive difference to my business. Obviously, people have online businesses that like completely blow up. What are the opportunities as you see of people starting to do lives, not just on LinkedIn, but live video generally?
There's that humanization piece where everything else is robotic is a big one. We've kind of already spoken on it, so I won't dwell on it for too long. But if I have heard of you and I am a potential client of yours, or could introduce you to potential clients, and I see you for 20 minutes, 30 minutes talking in your office or on stage or whatever, natural environment, you're taking your time, you're explaining things, maybe having a bit of a joke along the way, you're stumbling, I can see it's real, it's relatable. I'm going to have a very good measure of what working with you might be like, or buying from you might be like, and you as a person. You can't do that on a scripted YouTube video as much. You certainly can't do it on a written post when AI is writing. I believe 60 to 80% of every single post on social media is written by AI these days. And I don't know if that's fully or just a bit. So there are massive advantages on the trust factor. And I was saying this to someone only this morning. Content, if you had to narrow it down, content is a part of marketing yourself. The aim of marketing is to get leads. People will not become leads unless there is or clients, unless there is one thing. They have one thing, and that is trust. And you have to use whatever formats possible. But I think the unfiltered, unedited, long form is the best trust builder possible, because it lasts for a long time and people will stay if it's interesting, and it has all these other elements that we've just touched on. So that's one massive benefit, is you will build trust. There was some form of study, and I've heard this is bollocks, but I've also heard it's true. But there was a study apparently done by Google into buying behaviors, and they on average found out, and it doesn't even matter if it's not true because it makes sense, that in order for someone to buy something, they have to have been exposed to 7 hours of interactions or content with that person across 4 different formats or channels, 11 times on average in total. So 11 different touch points. So that could be a live, it could be a DM, it could be a YouTube video, it could be an email, it could be just a piece of written content, whatever. But these things stack up. What's the best way to condense that 7 hours? That 7 hours could take you 7 years to tick all those things off if you were just using text posts, or you could condense that time or accelerate that 7 hours into 2 weeks if you had a whole YouTube series or a whole load of live videos that people could go and look at and consume. So there's the long form piece. It's almost an indoctrination piece to shift people into your way of thinking and showcase your ethics, your values, some of the stuff we touched on today's C2C call as well. Really show them what your like personal brand DNA is made up of. Then you get the more like tactical things. I mean, before we get into that, you will also get people inquiring just off the back of you going live. I know you recently signed a client from a live, like just from a live, never heard of you, cold to sold. Brilliant. Perfect. So there's that as well. Now, that's not going to happen every single time, but all it's doing is nudging people closer. And rather than a tiny nudge, it's a slightly bigger nudge. On top of that, we've got the skills that you're going to accumulate. Just checking my mic's still on. The skills that you're going to accumulate by going live, because if you're turning up and freestyling solo, it's going to be scary the first few times. After you've done it 10 times, 20 times, 50 times, you're going to be pretty good at it and you're not going to care. So that also opens doors. It means you're going to be able to freestyle better on calls. You could probably hop on a stage and do like I'm speaking a week on Friday. I don't even know the topic. And I'm going down to a business mastermind with about 50 people, and then I'm going to be talking LinkedIn content systems, sales, offers. I don't know. But that excites me now. A couple of years ago, I would have shit myself, and it would have to be completely scripted. So there's the skill acquisition and the doors that unlocks. And then there's the more tactical stuff. So what we're doing inside C2C, as you rightly mentioned at the start, is running this LinkedIn Live challenge, which is you go live on LinkedIn in May as many times as you possibly can. And we gave people a few different formats. You know, you can interview a client, you can interview someone else, you can go live on your own and solve a problem, talk about your offer, talk about the journey you take clients on, talk about specific pain points, all these different things. And then we're going to take those things and turn them into sales and marketing assets next month. I've not fully scoped that out yet, but that could be email sequences or a mini course or all these different things. And that in itself is going to be informed by your raw inputs that you have put into this live machine that is then going to spit out some stuff that sounds exactly like you. And that means you can indoctrinate people in other ways as well. So you can turn that into a mini course, or you could turn it into a series of posts, or you could turn it into an email sequence, which is something I've done recently from old transcripts. I've gone, here are the topics
Yeah,
I
you've
want to hit.
sold that really well, haven't you?
Here are the transcripts. Yeah,
Yeah.
So it works tremendously well, and it keeps it you. So there are obviously a few more benefits, but I think those are the main ones, just in the interest of time. It's skill acquisition, it's the assets and things that it produces, and it's the trust/visibility.
Yeah, and you mentioned there the self-trust. I'm really interested in that, to ask you a bit more about that, because a lot of the work that I do with people is, you know, so I work with some like absolutely brilliant, amazing people. And if you talk to them one-to-one, they are brilliant and amazing. And you come away thinking, wow. And then some of those people, as soon as they have to talk to a group or an audience, they feel like, you know, all of their knowledge and expertise just like falls out on the floor and it's not there. Now, of course, that doesn't happen, but this is how people experience pressure. So when whatever their brain identifies as pressure, whether that's a group or a big audience or a high stakes client call, sales call, you know, the bit where people are closing a sales call, or, you know, whatever the brain identifies as pressure, then people feel the sensation is, people say, oh, like, I lost all my words, I forgot what I was going to say, I just like, I couldn't find my next sentence. And this is the experience that people have. And as you say, it's partly reps, but I think it's a little bit broader than that. It is like a self-trust thing. So can you just talk us through your journey? So you did that first, and I know you spoke at Atomicon, which is a big event a few years ago. That was a big stage that you were on there, and you've obviously been on a bit of a journey since then to now that you're doing this thing on Friday, and you're like, yeah, you're excited for the opportunity, which is probably a different feeling to the feeling you used to have. Did you used to have trouble sort of accessing your thoughts under pressure? How did that show up for you?
I think I've been fortunate because I've always just been able to talk and most of it be quite coherent.
Probably, well, that's probably your sales background, isn't it? Because I find people who've worked in sales, they're able to keep Keep going.
But I remember, we can backtrack it all the way to that, making my first cold calls. Fucking shaking. There's a room of like a table of bros surrounding me, all guys, some of them really good, certainly not brand new to the business that day and being asked to ring fucking plumbers in
PTP.
Barrow-in-Furness or wherever it was.
Yeah.
So I'm there fucking shaking. Like it was horrible. So the pressure that people might feel now, if they're mid-30s, mid-40s, mid-50s, whatever, your clients, our clients, is no different to the pressure I felt then. But again, it's the scales that you mentioned earlier. It's like, well, what are you doing it for? Well, there's a bigger goal, either for you or for your family or for the world, depending on how big your vision is. That's why you're doing it. I needed my 11 grand a year when I was doing the sales job. So that's why I had to do it. And it was extremely uncomfortable for years. I was fucking terrible, like the worst. I would go and hide in the toilet and ring random numbers that I'd kept a list of that I knew would go to answer machine. So I'd get my call time up so I couldn't get in trouble, but I just wasn't speaking to anyone, which was perfect. And as soon as I got this wireless phone where I could walk around the office a bit, because I've been there for a while, I would just be ringing like random numbers. And obviously that didn't help. That was me dodging the work. But I feel like even if things have to have pressure to grow, there's that Instagram quote, isn't there? The like diamonds grow under pressure or whatever. Diamonds are made under pressure or something like that.
Yeah.
You can't want something and then not put yourself through the tiny bit of pain or pressure in order to get there. If you don't do that, then you don't want it enough, or it's the wrong thing. So any growth comes at a cost, and it comes under stress. You think about growing a muscle, you have to put the muscle under tension and under stress and under pressure in order for it to break slightly and then rebuild stronger. And that is, I think, the critical part of what most people are missing. So yes, the ability I have, call it an ability, the thing that I have where I can just talk now, it's been around for a while, but it still doesn't mean.
But you talk more like you now, I would say, because you've had so many, like thousands of hours on client calls and lives and all this sort of stuff. That probably when you go there on Friday, you'll just be yourself. You'll just be yourself, and you'll be able to connect with the people in the room because you've just got so many reps on your back. So when you did Atomicon, was that highly scripted? Did you sort of script that?
Both Atomicons were fully, because I did two. One with Katie and Vicky and one solo, fully scripted, rehearsed to the max, multiple hours a day for a month out. That's how I've always treated anything like that. And yeah, they went great. But even then, the second one I wasn't nervous at all. The first one I was extremely nervous. I went inside myself. Put it that way.
But that's exactly the thing. So bringing it back to live video, what I'm thinking is that people could, in a sense, use live video, because obviously you don't have to come on a video like this for like 3/4 of an hour, whatever it is we're going to do. People can do short videos. They can do 2 minutes, 4 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes live. And in a sense, because I'm all for like low pressure reps. I think sometimes I get frustrated because people who are a bit like I was, like very, very nervous, the boss will say, I've put you down for this. You're doing a half-hour talk in front of 400 people at this conference. You'll be fine. It's like, no, they won't be fine. Like you have, most people like me, you need to build up sort of low pressure reps. You need to be pushing yourself every time, as you say. You need to be on a little bit of pressure every time so that your brain learns, yes, I've survived this. I can go a bit more. Oh, I've survived this. I can, do something a bit harder. And actually live video is I think that doing live video for most people will feel less weird or pressured than a live audience, because obviously a live audience, you've got all the eyes and you've got like the what do I do with my hands thing, and people can do live video and they can get in, as long as they don't over script it, as long as they do intend to do it live, they could, as you're suggesting to us, just take a topic, talk around it, just have that little bit of pressure. And it is only a little, because you can always go and delete it afterwards, can't you? So you've got that little bit of pressure.
We could cut this off right now, mid-sentence, and delete it.
Yeah. So you've got that the bit of pressure that you are live. You can delete it afterwards if you really want to, and you can put yourself under that little bit of pressure. Practice like having access to your thoughts. Practice maybe taking those pauses. Practice, speaking clearly. These are actually like brilliant reps. These are brilliant reps. Because, if it all goes wrong, just delete the damn post, do you know what I mean? Whereas if in front of an audience, obviously that's harder to do. I won't get into audiences. Like, people think they really screw up in front of audiences. Generally, if you do completely screw up in front of an audience, they'll like flip and love you for it. So, there's no problem with doing that, but people feel really bad about that. If something really bad happened, if I stubbed myself in the eye with the pencils I nearly did the other day live on LinkedIn, I could delete the post. So they're quite good, aren't they, from that, as you said, skill acquisition. I think they're really good from that perspective, because you would literally learn new skills doing them.
Yeah. And I'd argue that you stabbing yourself in the eye, like, hopefully it wouldn't be too bad, would make a great watch. And I say that with an element of jest, but also an element of seriousness as well, right? People love blooper
that moment.
Yeah, people love blooper reels. So every time you fuck up, like, just have a mini meltdown for a sec, or like ask for forgiveness for a second, and like, hold on, guys.
The other day I was like this, and I managed to flip my notepad over my head, which is stylish, but yeah, it's fine. So moving on a little bit to just very briefly, I know you've touched on this, so where does live video fit into the wider content strategy? I know you talk about the trust and I've forgotten them now, Chris. I've forgotten them. What are the
Capture,
three
trust,
things?
convert.
Yes, CTC. I should know that. So where do you? Well, I think live video can fit into different pieces of those, kind of depending what you're talking about. But where do you think we going forward? Because as we've discussed, things are changing a little bit. Going forward, where do you think live video content fits into the wider content strategy?
There's two answers to this question. So the first is, what's the objective, and then creating live or a series of live based on the objective. So as we just said there, it's capture, trust, convert. We first and foremost, for any marketing to work, we need to capture people's attention. So brand new people who don't know us enter our world and experience us in some form. After that, and we have their attention, we need to build trust with it, which is the middle part. And then after we have trust, we can convert that trust, if it's from relevant people, into a lead or a client. And that's how I try and simplify marketing in my head. Brand new eyeballs, people who know us, who we build trust with, and then a small percentage of those who might be ready to take action now, we can convert. So I think different formats of different lives and different approaches tie to each of those objectives. So if I was trying to capture new attention, I wouldn't come on and do a 45-minute explainer video about the ins and outs of a SaaS product. So if I'm trying to capture brand new people, because I'm getting technical and only a very small percentage of the audience are going to be interested in that. But if I did want to capture attention, maybe I'd go live with you, Kaffy, who has a big personal brand in the SaaS space, and capture some of your audience's attention by asking you questions about your life and stuff like that. If we were to go sort of middle and bottom of funnel, that's where that type of video will fit, the product explainer or the problem solving. So we almost like very wide at the top to very narrow at the bottom, depending on who you're trying to speak to. So working out the objective first, I think, is key. The other, and like you're going through this right now, but the other angle we have to think about is, how do we make this half an hour, 45-minute piece of video content work as hard as it possibly can for us? And I think that comes down to two things. It's taking the raw material as written words, which we can potentially do something with. And then it's taking the video, one as a long form, but also maybe splitting that up into potential short forms as well. So I really like the idea of going live once a week, once a fortnight, with a predetermined topic, maybe an asset or something that you can present on screen. So a lot of the time I'll draw diagrams on my iPad, just because people can hear me, see me, but also might be visual learners. And then we're hitting whatever audience we possibly can with that live. But then it's like, okay, well, I could either repackage it and put it on a YouTube channel, or I could take the audio and put it onto a podcast. And then I've got the video file, which I could send to an editor or chop out decent bits if I like them. I do have to say, I don't think short form clipped from long form is anywhere near as effective as short form made specifically for its own purpose. I think a lot of people they'll use something like Riverside FM, which is a platform that you can record long form videos on, and then it will call it magic clips or something. You can click a button and it will chop out 6 moments from your video. You're putting stuff like that up against people like Stephen Bartlett, who have hours and hours of footage from every single podcast, which is actually being clipped by professional editors using like deep audience analytics and psychology based tools to make sure that they get the most attention, eyeballs, clicks on that piece of content. And if you're just pulling something out mid-sentence using a random fucking AI tool, it's not going to perform. But there is still an option for it. Maybe you record the hook separately and then introduce the short form.
Yeah, that's really interesting, isn't it? So when we make short videos, we talk about making, it's almost like a post, isn't it? That it has to have everything so the hook and then the problem and then the solving the problem and the CTA. When you make a sort of a minute long or 50-second video, you kind of want to do all of that. Whereas, there will be no part of this half hour we've just been on, there will be no part of this, which is that. Because when you are having a real life conversation around a topic, and you're dipping in and out of things, it just isn't, this isn't naturally how humans talk. We don't, you don't have a soundbite, then I have a soundbite. We don't sort of take turns in that way. Conversation is, human conversation, I love it. It's such a beautiful thing. But we, our minds are drawing, things from all over, from the past, from the future, from, ideas. When you talk, I'm having ideas. When I talk, you're having ideas, and we're sort of feeding this stuff in. It's just not. It's completely different. So they're doing very, very different things, aren't they? Like a live video like this, as you say, is to do with letting someone have almost like a window on your world, isn't it? Or they're sort of vicariously finding out what it'd be like to have a coffee with you for an hour, as opposed to the short form is the pattern is interrupt thing, isn't it? A sort of a 50-second video or something is like, oh, look at me. Oh, that was interesting. Who is this person? I'll have a look at them. So I think they're doing, am I right? I think they're probably doing quite different things there.
Yeah, absolutely. You'd be hard pressed to go and find a 45-second clip from this live that absolutely bangs on short form. The best way you'd have it to do it would be have a very skilled editor to go and look for the open loops and the exciting lines or the shocking lines or interesting stats. What did I say before? Like I hid in the toilet shaking.
Myself in the pencil again.
Perfect. Then get into the point. Or I hid in I used to hide in the toilets shaking. That might be what? Why? Yeah. That's interesting. But you'd have to clip that out, and then you'd have to chop all the other bits out. And these AI tools just aren't really capable of that. But what they are capable of doing is taking transcripts and mining them for things like that you can then go and turn into short form. And that short form then could become a written post, but it could also become a brand new short form video. Or you could hire an editor to do some extensive clipping. I think it'd be a lot easier to just refilm the short form personally. So my whole thing with lives going forward and the unscripted video is I'm going to bang out a live maybe once a week. I've been doing them most weeks for a while. That'll go out onto some YouTube channel, but not my main one, just because it's a bit rambly. And then people can watch it if they want. Maybe I'll email my list with it occasionally. After that, I can put it onto a podcast very easily. It take about 3 minutes. Then I've got the call transcript or the live transcript, which is the most exciting part for me, because from that, I have a prompt which just mines all the ideas, all the stuff that's contrarian, things people don't normally say, any insight, any stats, anything interesting, and it will surface all of that. It does it automatically for me after our C2C calls now as well. Anything I say that is not heard before, it puts into one Notion sheet, and I can just go through and I'll mark them green, and then I'll be like, right, I'm going to record a video, or I'm going to write a post about this. So I think some people do short to long. As an example, Alex Hormozy will brain dump on Twitter all day, and then the tweets that go big or get a lot of attention, he'll make into longer form pieces. He has a massive media and distribution team, so we can't compare with the likes of him, but it's quite interesting. So that's minimal output for potentially maximum return. I think the way I'm going to play it moving forward is just, I will take a topic that I am conscious of this week, or I'm speaking to clients about. We did a thing on personal brand DNA this morning. Maybe I'll turn that into some form of like whiteboard or flip chart. I'll go on, I'll ramble about it. I won't care. I'm not making it for the people watching. They're just a byproduct and a happy bonus. And then I've got a decent transcript, and I can go and take loads and loads of different bits from that and do whatever the hell I want. Plus I've got a podcast, and then I can email out YouTube video link and podcast link at the same time. If you'd rather listen, go here. If you'd rather watch, go here. And then I'll take those bits and just throw them out. And I think the beauty of it is, tying back to the lives, there's just no friction in that.
Well, I was just going to say, if everyone's convinced by all of these, fabulous advantages of going live on video, what mistakes should they avoid? And I know that's what you're going to say. It's friction, isn't it? That's the one thing that people can get wrong, is just making it too difficult for themselves.
Yeah, and that's why I'm so hot on it at the moment. And it's not to say I downplay any other video types, but in order for me to produce a polished YouTube video, I have to go and do the research. I have to find a topic that I think is going to work. I have to script it. I have to create 3 thumbnail variants, 3 title variants. Then I have to actually set up and record. Then I have to get the file. I have to send it to my editor or edit it myself. My editor will do a pass edit. He'll then come back and say, can you give me an image for this? Or have you got a clip of the live event you were speaking at? And all these different bits. I'll go back. Then I'll go, I don't like the music there. Oh, can you change it? Yeah. And he'll send it over to me. Then I've got to download it, upload it to YouTube, put all the thumbnails in, yada, yada, yada. Then I get to fucking put it out into the world. With this, I set my camera up and I have a loose idea of a topic. So if it doesn't work, it doesn't matter. And the time, it's speed to execution, is one of the biggest metrics that kills early stage entrepreneurs. They take too long to do the thing, whereas this kind of gives you no excuse.
Amazing, Chris. Thank you.
As well. That's the other thing I will say. If I'm recording a YouTube video, I can redo the intro 10 times. You can't do that on the live. You just have to talk, and there's a nice little pressure there that just forces something out of you, which is exactly what you want. Entrepreneurs will. Some form of gold, hopefully. Entrepreneurs will spend ages thinking and not doing, where it needs to be the doing first to allow you to think clearly once you've got data.
Absolutely agree with that. So thank you so much. There is so much value in what we've talked about today, because we've not just covered why live video matters, but we've also thought about how people can approach it in a way that's practical and purposeful and achievable. Thank you so much. It's been absolutely
Thank you for having me.
Brilliant. Thank you.